Welcome to Book Buzz Reviews and Summaries. For years, we've been told that the path to happiness, health, and a fulfilled life is just one diet away. You've probably heard it all before: the latest fad diet, the magical weight loss pills, or the promises of a quick fix that will change your life. And maybe, just maybe, you've fallen into the cycle of dieting. You've tried every program, followed every rule, counted every calorie, and yet, no matter how much weight you lose, the feeling of satisfaction always seems just out of reach. Instead of joy, you're left with frustration. Instead of freedom, you feel trapped. Instead of gaining control over your life, you end up with an even more complicated relationship with food, your body, and your self-worth. It's a never-ending cycle, and it's exhausting. You start to wonder, why is it that we can spend so much time and energy trying to lose weight, only to feel more disconnected from ourselves than ever before? What if, instead of trying to control and restrict your body, you could learn to embrace it, listen to it, and free yourself from the constant battle with food and your weight? What if there was a way to stop dieting and start living? This is exactly what Joseph Ciarrochi offers in The Weight Escape: how to stop dieting and start living. His approach challenges everything you've been taught about dieting, weight loss, and body image. It isn't about willpower, calorie counting, or following a rigid set of rules. It's about something much deeper: understanding your mind, emotions, and behavior in a way that allows you to break free from the dieting trap once and for all. It's a profound shift, one that will transform how you think about food, your body, and most importantly, yourself. In The Weight Escape, Ciarrochi presents a radically different perspective on weight and well-being. He doesn't ask you to eliminate your favorite foods or follow some arbitrary set of food rules. Instead, he invites you to explore the deeper psychological, emotional, and behavioral patterns that have been holding you back. He shows how dieting isn't just about food. It's about emotions, beliefs, and the stories we tell ourselves about who we are and what we're capable of. When we start to see weight loss as more than just a physical transformation, and instead as an emotional and mental shift, we begin to understand that the key to living a truly healthy life has nothing to do with the number on a scale. Ciarrochi doesn't just ask you to give up dieting. He shows you how to escape the mindset that has kept you stuck for so long. His approach is based on acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT, a proven psychological method that focuses on mindfulness, acceptance, and values-driven action. Through ACT, you'll learn to break free from the inner critic that drives you to unhealthy behaviors and replace it with a kinder, more compassionate inner voice. You'll stop dieting not because you've failed at it, but because you've realized that dieting doesn't actually lead to the results you want, at least not in the way that you think. Instead, the key to living a healthier life lies in understanding and embracing the whole person, not just the body. The heart of The Weight Escape lies in understanding the connection between our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Ciarrochi explains how our minds can often trick us into believing that dieting is the solution, when in reality, it's the mindset around food and body image that needs to be transformed. By breaking the cycle of emotional eating and dieting, you can reclaim your power and make choices that align with your true values and desires. No longer will you feel driven by food cravings or be bound by restrictive rules. Instead, you'll find freedom through mindfulness, self-compassion, and a deep understanding of your inner world. Perhaps you've been caught in the trap of dieting for years. Maybe you've lost weight, only to gain it back again. You've tried everything, from the latest fad diet to extreme exercise regimens, but nothing seems to work long-term. You become so focused on the end result, a smaller body, that you've lost sight of the bigger picture. In The Weight Escape, Ciarrochi invites you to shift your focus away from the destination and towards the journey. Weight loss, he argues, is not the goal. It's about creating a life that is fulfilling, balanced, and aligned with your values. When you stop dieting, you stop making weight loss the center of your existence. Instead, you focus on creating a life that brings you joy, connection, and fulfillment in all areas, without obsessing over every bite of food or every number on the scale. The approach Ciarrochi offers is not about denying yourself the foods you love or forcing yourself into a restrictive lifestyle. It's about building a relationship with food that is grounded in mindfulness and self-compassion. Through his approach, you'll discover how to listen to your body's cues, how to eat in a way that nourishes you physically and emotionally, and how to embrace the idea that food is meant to be enjoyed, not feared. Rather than creating more rules and restrictions, the Weight Escape teaches you how to break free from the rules altogether and focus on creating a healthy, balanced life based on the principles of acceptance and self-compassion. The beauty of this approach is that it works for anyone, regardless of where you are in your weight loss journey. Whether you're someone who has struggled with weight for years, or someone who has recently experienced a shift in your relationship with food, the Weight Escape offers practical tools and strategies that will help you step into a new way of being. The book is not about offering a one-size-fits-all solution, but instead about empowering you to make the choices that are best for you. Ciarrochi helps you discover what is truly important to you in your life and how to take action in a way that supports those values, not the restrictive rules of a diet. In addition to mindfulness and self-compassion, Ciarrochi emphasizes the importance of values-based living. So often, our attempts to lose weight are rooted in shallow goals, such as looking a certain way or meeting societal standards of beauty. But when we live according to our values, whether that's health, happiness, family, or community, we begin to create a life that is genuinely fulfilling, no matter what our bodies look like. The Weight Escape helps you reconnect with your deeper values, moving beyond external pressures and cultivating a life that feels truly meaningful. It's about discovering the freedom to live fully, without being held back by fear, guilt, or shame. Ciarrochi's writing is not just for those who struggle with weight. It's for anyone who has ever felt trapped by society's unrealistic expectations or by the internal pressure to be perfect. It's for those who want to break free from the constant mental chatter about food and body image and embrace a life that is rich, meaningful, and self-empowered. In a world that often prioritizes appearance over well-being, the Weight Escape offers a refreshing reminder that true health comes from within. Through the Weight Escape, you'll discover that the weight you need to lose isn't the physical weight. It's the weight of negative thoughts, self-judgment, and the constant pressure to conform to impossible standards. You'll learn how to free yourself from this mental weight and live a life that is light, joyful, and full of possibility. Instead of dieting to escape your emotions, you'll learn to face them, process them, and move forward with compassion and strength. If you've ever felt frustrated, overwhelmed, or defeated by dieting, then the Weight Escape is your invitation to a different way of living. It's not about getting smaller. It's about getting freer. It's about reclaiming your relationship with food, with your body, and with yourself. And ultimately, it's about embracing the idea that you are more than your weight, more than your appearance, and more than the judgments of others. In The Weight Escape, Joseph Ciarrochi offers you the tools and mindset to truly break free and start living a life that is grounded in love, compassion, and self-acceptance. If you're ready to step into your full potential, this is the escape you've been waiting for. The journey begins now. Introduction: Breaking Free from the Dieting Trap. Joseph Ciarrochi's The Weight Escape. How to Stop Dieting and Start Living is not just another book about losing weight. It's about changing your relationship with food, your body, and most importantly, yourself. Ciarrochi, a psychologist and expert in acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT, argues that the dieting cycle is an endless loop that not only fails to help people achieve lasting weight loss, but can actually make them feel worse about themselves. In the introduction, Ciarrochi paints a powerful image. Millions of people around the world are caught in a constant tug-of-war with their bodies, trying to conform to societal ideals of beauty and health. The weight loss industry feeds this struggle with promises of quick fixes that never work. But Ciarrochi offers an alternative, an approach rooted in mindfulness, self-compassion, and a deep understanding of how our thoughts and feelings shape our relationship with food and our bodies. Chapter 1: The Dieting Trap. why it doesn't work. In this opening chapter, Ciarrochi explains the fundamental issue with traditional dieting. It's rooted in a mindset that focuses on restriction, control, and fear. Diets tell us what we should eat, what we shouldn't eat, and constantly enforce the idea that there's something wrong with our bodies. This diet mindset, Ciarrochi argues, leads to a cycle of guilt, shame, and disappointment. Ciarrochi shares anecdotes from real-life clients who have tried every diet imaginable but still find themselves trapped in the cycle of gaining and losing weight. They become obsessed with the numbers on the scale, yet no matter how much weight they lose, they still feel dissatisfied with their bodies. Ciarrochi's message is clear. Dieting is a temporary solution to a deeper, more ingrained problem. The weight loss industry thrives on this never-ending cycle of failure, but it's not the answer to achieving lasting well-being. Chapter 2. The Science of Weight and Happiness. Understanding our bodies and minds. In this chapter, Ciarrochi takes a step back and dives into the science of how our bodies and minds interact when it comes to food and weight. He introduces the concept of psychological flexibility, the ability to embrace difficult thoughts and feelings without letting them control our behavior. Instead of focusing on controlling our food intake, Ciarrochi suggests we focus on developing the ability to make conscious, value-driven decisions that align with our true selves. Ciarrochi explains that when we try to suppress or ignore our feelings, whether they're about food, body image, or emotions, we actually make the problem worse. The more we try to control or avoid these feelings, the more they tend to take over. This is why dieting often backfires. It doesn't address the emotional underpinnings of our relationship with food. The chapter also addresses the myth of the perfect body that society so often promotes. Ciarrochi argues that the pursuit of an idealized body shape, usually based on media-driven standards, can lead to feelings of inadequacy and even self-loathing. Instead, he encourages readers to reframe their thinking. The goal isn't to fit into someone else's idea of beauty. It's to honor and care for our own bodies, exactly as they are. Chapter 3. Mindful Eating. Embracing the present moment. One of the central ideas of the weight escape is the concept of mindful eating. In this chapter, Ciarrochi introduces mindfulness as a powerful tool for improving one's relationship with food. He explains that mindful eating involves paying full attention to the experience of eating, how food smells, tastes, and feels in the body, without judgment. Through mindfulness, Ciarrochi suggests, we can reconnect with the natural cues our bodies provide, such as hunger and fullness. These signals are often ignored or overridden by dieting rules, emotional eating, or societal pressures. By practicing mindfulness, we can start to listen to these cues again, allowing us to make more conscious choices about what and how much we eat. The chapter includes practical exercises for cultivating mindfulness, such as pausing before eating to check in with how we're feeling and taking a few deep breaths to slow down. Ciarrochi emphasizes that the goal of mindfulness isn't to eliminate all negative emotions or cravings, but to change the way we relate to them. Instead of viewing food as an enemy or something to feel guilty about, we learn to approach it with curiosity and compassion. Chapter 4. The Power of Self-Compassion. Being kind to yourself. Ciarrochi moves into an exploration of self-compassion in this chapter, emphasizing its importance in the journey of weight loss and overall well-being. He challenges the common belief that harsh self-criticism and punishment are the keys to self-improvement. Instead, he argues that kindness, patience, and understanding are far more effective in making lasting changes. Through self-compassion, we begin to treat ourselves with the same kindness and empathy that we would offer a friend. Ciarrochi notes that many people struggling with weight and body image issues have internalized negative messages from society, family, and the media, which lead to a cycle of shame and self-judgment. This negativity only reinforces feelings of powerlessness, making it harder to make positive changes. In this chapter, Ciarrochi teaches readers how to practice self-compassion, including techniques like speaking to yourself kindly, reframing negative thoughts, and learning to forgive yourself for perceived shortcomings. By fostering a compassionate mindset, Ciarrochi believes that people can break free from the weight loss trap and begin to make healthier, more sustainable choices without the burden of guilt. Chapter 5. Overcoming Emotional Eating, Understanding the Triggers. In this pivotal chapter, Ciarrochi explores emotional eating, a common struggle for many individuals who are trying to manage their weight. He explains that emotional eating occurs when we use food to cope with negative emotions such as stress, anxiety, boredom, or loneliness. However, this approach doesn't actually address the root causes of these emotions and often leads to more shame, guilt, and frustration. Ciarrochi guides readers through a process of identifying emotional triggers and understanding the psychological patterns behind emotional eating. He shares strategies for dealing with these triggers in healthier ways, such as developing alternative coping mechanisms like physical activity, journaling, or connecting with a supportive friend or therapist. The key message in this chapter is that emotional eating is not inherently bad, but it becomes problematic when it's used as a way to avoid or numb difficult feelings. Ciarrochi encourages readers to explore their emotional needs and find healthier ways to meet them, rather than using food as a temporary escape. Chapter 6. Building a New Relationship with Food, Finding Balance and Freedom. This chapter is all about creating a healthy, balanced relationship with food. Ciarrochi argues that food should not be something to fear, restrict, or obsess over. Instead, it should be something that nourishes and sustains us. He challenges the idea that we need to completely control our food choices in order to be healthy. Rather, he advocates for flexibility and freedom when it comes to eating. Ciarrochi introduces the idea of food flexibility, which means giving yourself permission to enjoy a wide variety of foods without guilt or shame. He suggests that the key to weight loss and well-being is not in extreme dieting, but in finding a balance that works for your body and your life. This includes eating a variety of foods, tuning into your hunger cues, and embracing the idea that food is meant to be enjoyed, not feared. The chapter also offers practical tips for cultivating food flexibility, such as focusing on portion sizes instead of strict food restrictions, allowing yourself to indulge occasionally, and learning to savor the experience of eating. Through this approach, Ciarrochi believes that readers can break free from the cycle of dieting and develop a lasting, healthy relationship with food. Chapter 7. The Role of Exercise, Moving for Joy, Not Punishment. In this chapter, Ciarrochi shifts the focus to exercise and its role in overall health and well-being. He emphasizes that exercise should not be viewed as a form of punishment for eating, nor should it be a means to achieve a certain body shape. Instead, he advocates for a mindset shift in which exercise is seen as a way to honor and care for the body, rather than a way to force it into a particular mold. Ciarrochi highlights the importance of finding activities that bring joy and energy, rather than focusing solely on burning calories. Whether it's dancing, swimming, hiking, or yoga, the goal is to find movement that feels good and contributes to physical and mental well-being. This approach allows individuals to move away from the no pain, no gain mentality and embrace exercise as a joyful, empowering part of life. The chapter also addresses the issue of body image and how exercise can improve mental health by promoting a sense of accomplishment and strength. By focusing on the positive aspects of movement, Ciarrochi encourages readers to let go of the pressure to conform to unrealistic body ideals and instead focus on how exercise makes them feel stronger, healthier, and more connected to their bodies. Chapter 8. Creating Lasting Change, the Role of Commitment and Patience. In this chapter, Ciarrochi talks about the importance of commitment and patience in making lasting changes. He acknowledges that breaking free from the dieting trap and building a healthy relationship with food and exercise is not easy, but it is possible with persistence and dedication. Ciarrochi explains that the key to creating lasting change is to focus on the process, not the outcome. Rather than obsessing over the number on the scale, or trying to reach a specific goal. Readers are encouraged to commit to making small, sustainable changes that align with their values and long-term well-being. He offers advice on how to stay motivated, track progress, and celebrate small victories along the way. Most importantly, Ciarrochi emphasizes the need for patience. Change takes time, and setbacks are a natural part of the journey. The important thing is to stay committed to the process, trust in your ability to change, and be kind to yourself when things don't go as planned. Chapter 9. Navigating Setbacks. Turning challenges into opportunities for growth. No journey toward lasting change is without its bumps in the road, and in Chapter 9, Joseph Ciarrochi addresses the inevitable setbacks that come when we try to break free from the diet cycle. He stresses that challenges are not failures. Rather, they are opportunities for learning and growth. The ability to face setbacks with resilience, curiosity, and kindness is one of the core themes of The Way to Escape. Ciarrochi emphasizes that it's essential to approach setbacks with a mindset of self-compassion and to see them as part of the process. When we experience a slip-up, whether it's overindulging in food, skipping a workout, or falling back in old habits, it's easy to become discouraged. We might feel like we've failed or that our efforts have been for nothing. But Ciarrochi teaches that these moments don't need to define us. Instead of responding with shame or frustration, readers are encouraged to take a step back, reflect, and identify what led to the setback. What emotions or thoughts triggered the behavior? How can you respond differently next time? By developing a compassionate awareness of our setbacks, Ciarrochi believes we can learn from them, adapt, and strengthen our resolve to continue moving forward. This chapter highlights the power of resilience, how we can bounce back from setbacks and use those experiences to refine our strategies and approach. It also underlines the importance of keeping our long-term goals in mind. Instead of focusing on perfection, the goal is to stay focused on the journey and celebrate progress, however small it may seem. Chapter 10. Building a Support System. The Importance of Community. In Chapter 10, Ciarrochi brings attention to the crucial role of community and support systems in our journey toward better health and well-being. He acknowledges that change is difficult when we try to go it alone, and that's why having a support system is essential. This could include friends, family, therapists, or even online groups and communities who share similar goals. Ciarrochi explains that human beings are social creatures, and our need for connection plays a fundamental role in our success and well-being. Having a community to share experiences, offer encouragement, and hold us accountable can make all the difference in maintaining motivation and making lasting change. He encourages readers to seek out people who are supportive and non-judgmental, those who will encourage us to grow, not criticize or shame us. He also discusses the value of professional support, such as working with a therapist or a coach who is knowledgeable in acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT, or other behavioral change strategies. This support can provide structure, tools, and perspective when things get tough. For those who may not have a strong support network, Ciarrochi suggests seeking out online forums or communities where individuals can share their struggles and victories without fear of judgment. The chapter also touches on the concept of accountability partners, people who are willing to check in with us and help us stay on track, not in a critical way, but in a supportive, compassionate manner. Ciarrochi emphasizes that the most effective accountability systems focus on encouragement and positive reinforcement rather than criticism. Chapter 11. Embracing the Journey. How to Make Peace with Your Body. Chapter 11 is about learning to embrace the body you have and finding peace with it, regardless of its size or shape. Ciarrochi challenges the common narrative that we must constantly strive to change our bodies in order to be worthy of love and respect. Instead, he encourages readers to build a healthy relationship with their bodies by focusing on gratitude, care, and self-compassion. One of the key practices Ciarrochi introduces is the idea of body gratitude. Rather than focusing on what we wish our bodies looked like or what we want to change, Ciarrochi invites us to reflect on what our bodies can do for us. The ability to walk, dance, hug, laugh, and breathe are all amazing aspects of our body that we often take for granted. By shifting the focus from appearance to function, we can develop a deeper sense of appreciation for our bodies. Ciarrochi also explores how societal pressures around body image can distort our self-perception. We are bombarded with images of ideal bodies through social media, advertisements, and television, creating a standard that is often unattainable and unhealthy. In this chapter, Ciarrochi teaches that we don't need to conform to these ideals in order to be healthy or happy. Instead, we are encouraged to define our own standards of well-being and to love our bodies for what they are, not for how they compare to others. This chapter is filled with heartwarming stories of individuals who have learned to accept and love their bodies, regardless of size or shape. These stories inspire hope and show that it is possible to let go of the pursuit of perfection and find true peace in the body we have right now. Chapter 12. Reclaiming Your Power, the Freedom of Choice. In this empowering chapter, Ciarrochi introduces the concept of reclaiming your personal power through conscious decision-making. The core of his message is that we all have the power to make choices that align with our values and goals. Choices that don't depend on external approval or societal standards. Ciarrochi explains that many people feel powerless in the face of dieting culture, believing that they must follow rigid rules or succumb to external pressures in order to be healthy. But he asserts that we are all free to make choices that are right for us, based on our own values and desires, rather than being constrained by a rigid set of rules. This freedom comes when we embrace the idea that we are not defined by the foods we eat or the number on the scale, but by the conscious choices we make to care for ourselves and live in alignment with our true selves. He provides a number of exercises to help readers reflect on their values and how they can integrate those values into their everyday decisions. These exercises help readers develop a sense of agency and control over their health, moving away from the passive, reactive mindset that dieting often instills. The chapter also addresses the importance of creating a vision for your life, a vision that encompasses more than just weight loss. Ciarrochi encourages readers to think about the kind of life they want to lead, the things they want to experience, and the person they want to become. When we focus on the bigger picture and let go of the narrow goal of achieving a certain weight, we are able to reclaim our power and create a life filled with purpose, meaning, and joy. Chapter 13. The Weight Escape, Living with Freedom and Purpose. The final chapter of The Weight Escape brings everything together and reaffirms the core message of the book, that the true path to health and happiness lies in escaping the dieting trap and embracing a life of freedom, mindfulness, and self-compassion. Ciarrochi reflects on the importance of living in the present moment, of making decisions that align with our values, and of treating ourselves with kindness and care. The Weight Escape is not about achieving a particular number on the scale. It's about finding peace with our bodies, freeing ourselves from the grip of dieting, and living a life filled with meaning and purpose. He concludes by encouraging readers to take the lessons learned in the book and apply them to their everyday lives. The journey toward lasting health and well-being is ongoing, and it requires patience, self-compassion, and a commitment to making choices that serve our long-term happiness. The Weight Escape is a refreshing and holistic approach to weight management, one that transcends the traditional dieting mindset and embraces the power of mindfulness, self-compassion, and flexibility. Joseph Ciarrochi offers readers not just a way to lose weight, but a way to live a more fulfilling, balanced, and joyful life. The book inspires hope, provides practical tools, and, most importantly, encourages readers to love and care for their bodies just as they are,